we thought ahead, but we did not think about a complete supply chain meltdown like that. It showed a weakness. It showed it really fast. Welcome to the Undependent Podcast, where we empower self-reliance one step at a time. Now, it's been a while since I've been on. Well, the past month has been pretty interesting here. I had a disagreement with YouTube that lasted a couple of weeks that landed me with a channel strike, and that was over my other podcast, For the Love of Guns. And on top of that, I use StreamYard to do recording with, and well, StreamYard, they jacked up their prices, and I had to go find an alternative. But anyways, we've got all that stuff taken care of, and now we're ready to get back to content here. And on this episode of Undependent Podcast, we're going to talk about prepping with your animals, your domestic animals, like for us, our dogs. When COVID hit, we all learned some hard lessons about preparedness. I mean, think about all the people going nuts trying to find toilet paper and paper towels. But for me, one of the biggest surprises that we had wasn't about the food or the toilet paper or cleaning products. It was about dog food. You know, it's important for us to keep our four-legged family members fed and happy during a global supply chain meltdown. And that was a challenge that we really didn't see coming. I mean, we kept dog food. Don't get me wrong. We had dog food, but we learned a weakness really fast. And it was that we were not keeping enough dog food. I mean, who would have thought about it was going to be tough to get, food for our dogs? We were buying like the little bags for like the little dogs, and we got big dogs, and we were paying a premium for that because that's all we could get. And one of the things you really got to watch out for is that you really can't just switch food like that on a dog. You need to kind of wean them in and out of dog foods. So we thought we had all of our essentials taken care of. I mean, we had cash on hand. We had, food. I mean, we buy our food we buy like half a cow and a whole hog. So we had our protein, we had our dry goods, we had all this stuff. We just underestimated the availability of dog food. So, we go into the pet store, of course, it's during COVID. So you got your mask up and everyone looked like they were surgeons. It wasn't that the shelves were bare. There was dog food there. The problem is that we would have to wean our dogs off of dog food. If we wanted the cheap dog food, it was easy to get. Don't get me wrong. It was really easy to get. But for us, our dogs are our kids. So we make sure that they have the best that they can get. And trust me, when we found like the small overpriced bags of dog food, we got it. I mean, we were ordering it online. We were doing everything we could to keep the dog food coming. And that's when I realized we just weren't as prepared as we thought. I mean, yes, we thought ahead, but we did not think about a complete supply chain meltdown like that. It showed a weakness. It showed it really fast. Yeah, we didn't have the luxury of time or choice at this point. We just needed to do what we needed to do. What did we learn from this? I mean, we had to really rethink everything about our dogs. And we realized that we got to stockpile more than we really think. And I mean, trust me, the dog food's expensive. This stuff's expensive. I mean, I think the food we're getting is about $70 for a 25, or it's a 24. It's not even a 25-pound bag. It's a 24-pound bag. And the stuff's expensive. And so we were aiming to keep about 3 months of dog food on hand. Wow, it's I can tell you we got way more than 3 months worth of dog food on hand. And we keep it rotated, because we're buying so much now. And we make sure that everything is sealed up and it's ready to go when we need to. Now, one of the things that we learned a little bit about this is diversity in the protein sources for our dog food. We were feeding beef, and what we started doing is we started buying beef and chicken, and we do a 50-50 mix for our dog food. That way, if for some reason one protein source just became hard to get, we already had them in a 50-50 mix. It's a little easier to switch them to the other protein source. And trust me, this is a game changer in times of need. So, I mean, if you think about all the problems that we had back then, I mean, everybody was running out. I mean, God, was it? People were buying ground beef for like $10 a pound. For us, it didn't really affect us because, like I said, we buy in bulk and we keep everything, in freezers. So when people were going nuts over $10 a pound for, ground beef, we were flipping T-bones on the grill. It didn't really affect us, but yeah, it affected us with the dogs. And by mixing the 50-50 mix, we now have a lot of flexibility what we can do. But like I said, you can't just switch your dogs cold turkey. They're going to get sick. You're going to be spending a lot of time of the dogs cleaning up after the dogs. Now, fortunately, we knew about this. My wife has worked with animals for decades, and we knew about this ahead of time. But it makes me reflect back on people who did know this, that maybe switched their dog food really fast and they got sick. These are some things that you just need to think about. Now, one of the things that we also did is that we actually now stock up on dog toys. So what we do is we buy dog food in bulk. We buy it online. So I think it's like Chewy we buy it from. We used to buy it from, it wasn't PetSmart, Petco. We have a PetSmart and Petco in town here. But those places became so unreliable. And this is not an ad for Chewy or any of these companies. This is just what we ran into here in Helena, Montana. You guys in bigger cities probably don't have the problems that we had here. So what we do now is we buy ahead of time. And trust me, our UPS and FedEx drivers hate it when we buy dog food. Some of the dog food came in on UPS. My UPS driver, because he was my UPS driver back when, well, actually, I was still an FFL. Technically, I was still an FFL back then. My UPS driver was like, man, why don't you let the FedEx guy deliver the dog food and I'll deliver the guns? So it was kind of funny that he was getting sick of those heavy ass boxes. But anyways, so we buy in bulk. So one thing when we buy in bulk for our needs, right? The food needs for myself and my wife is that we look for sales. And when you start buying in bulk, you start learning about sales. You start learning the sales cycles at Costco. And about this time, this goes on sale. So you stock up on it. And then you're trying to get around to the next time it's on sale. So that's what we started learning with buying for our dogs, is these sales cycles. And these sales cycles come in a really weird, at least with Chewy, it comes really weird. It's like, buy so much and they'll give you gift cards for your next shopping. So what we did is we learned how to maximize that. I can't remember the exact thing. I thought it was like 5 bags of each was like the maximum we could do and still keep getting these cards. So what would happen is that we would buy the stuff, max it out, get the cards. And the cards are electronic, right? So you get an email. You just turn around and just use the cards to buy the next stuff. So the dog food never really goes on sale, but you're really kind of dealing with dollar cost averaging at that point, right? So I'm going to buy a bunch of bags at the full price to get these gift cards to buy the next bags at a lower cost. And we just maximize things that way. And that's how we keep stocked up. Now, on times where these sales happen and we get these gift cards and we just don't need more food because, you can only store so much and this is food. So eventually it will go bad. So we know about how much we can store. We stock up on dog toys. We stock up on dog treats. We stock up on all the other stuff. The one thing about our dogs is that they will never know hard times. Like I said, these are our kids. They'll never know hard times. I know out on the shelves out there, we got so many dog toys. when we go to Costco sometimes gets some really good dog toys. And our one dog, Magnum, tears things up. He's hard on toys. So they have some really good toys. And when they go on sale, we like buy them out. So our dogs, we have them prepped for food and we have them prepped for entertainment. Now, Magnum is a Doberman German Shepherd mix. He's a very, very high energy dog. He needs lots of exercise. Otherwise, let's face it, he just becomes a real shit. I mean, he starts picking on Rogue. He just gets to be a real pain in the house unless we release that energy. So we make sure he has a lot of toys. I mean, you trip over stuff all over the place. But that's what I mean. Our dogs will never know hard times because we have the food, we have toys, we have the entertainment. We're going to keep them occupied. In turn, it keeps us occupied too, right? I mean, to take them out and go run them gets us outside, gets us working. So after this pandemic, we completely overhauled everything of how we prepared for our dogs. Now, like I said, we buy in bulk whenever possible. It's not just to save money, but it's also to be sure that we're ready for the unexpected. I mean, what if dog toys, and this sounds kind of weird to say, what if dog toys become a problem? I don't think they will, but it doesn't matter. Again, this keeps us from having to go into town, right? When everybody else is losing their mind, we're sitting back and just chilling out at home, flipping T-bones on the grill, throwing the dog toys around. The dogs are fed now. That's the whole idea, is you want to stay away from people when people are going nuts. You know, I remember going into Costco during COVID and, you know, they had the limits on paper towels and toilet paper. Now, we had this habit of every time we went to Costco, we bought paper towels and toilet paper. This is pre-COVID. So when they were like, people were going nuts over this stuff, you know, we stopped buying. We stopped buying paper towels and toilet papers. We stopped buying paper towels and toilet paper, you know, halfway through COVID. So when you're walking to Costco, they were almost like giving you one of each because that was your limit because they knew everybody wanted it. So, I mean, we took our one of each, but we even stopped taking that. And it took us, I think it took us about 2 years to run through the stock that we had before COVID because it was just easy to stock up on. It's not like that stuff goes bad. Dog toys the same way. Dog food, a little different. So, but make sure you're stocking up. Make sure you're thinking about everything going forward, right? If we have a supply chain problem for people food, for our daily essentials, for dog food, it's a possibility we could have a problem with dog toys. It isn't just about food. It's about thinking about everything. I mean, trust me, we had some prescriptions for our dogs. You think we didn't load up on prescriptions? We did. I mean, now these are not life-threatening prescriptions for the dogs, but we made sure that we had them. I remember we made sure that we had leashes. It's funny to think about a leash as a prep thing, but like when we go on vacation, we take our dogs with us. And we have extra leashes and other things with us as well. We bought a couple of extra leashes. So that way we throw them in the truck. We can have some in the house. Just make sure you think about everything. It's not just about the food. Now, why do you think leashes are a prep item for your dogs? Like I said, we keep them in the truck. Like if the truck breaks down, we gotta have leashes to control the dogs, right? The other thing is, we take them to the park and run them in the park and stuff like that. So we make sure we have these things. But think about this of your house. What happens if there's a fire in your house? You gotta get the dogs out. Things are going, smoke alarms going off. Chaos is happening inside your house. What do you think is going to happen to those dogs when you get them outside the house? And now all of a sudden a bunch of other people start showing up to put the fire out. And you need to be able to have things like leashes, right? Especially even if you have a fenced in yard, it's not like you can put the dogs in the backyard while there's a fire on the house, right? Think about the furry ones. What are they going to need? Now, I know I'm talking about dogs. That's because I have dogs. What about cats? Sure. Do you get carriers? Do you got something extra? The food is the same, right? Stock up on the food. Now, I don't know if cats have a problem switching back and forth of food. they may not, depending on your cat and how you feed them. Maybe you have lots of cans of, Fancy Feast or whatever it is, and they're just used to switching proteins. Dogs are more habit, but that translates over to your cats as well, or what other animals you have in your house. Plan ahead for those type of problems. Plan ahead for supply chain problems. Don't get me wrong. It's expensive, especially for us with larger dogs. I mean, Magnum is 78 pounds. Rogue is 55 pounds. So, I mean, it's a little hard to plan ahead, and it's a little financial burden to plan ahead. But trust me, it's a lot of peace of mind on your side when you have this stuff. So I want to ask you, how prepared are you for your pets? We thought we were prepared. I mean, again, no one thought about a pandemic, but if we're preparing for an independent lifestyle, why didn't we? I mean, we thought 3 months was fine. How are we going to have a problem with supply chain in 3 months? It's just unthinkable. And we did. I mean, worst comes to worst is, with all the food that we have stocked up, I mean, we got hamburger and stuff like that. We could still feed them, but it showed a weakness. It showed a very big weakness. So just take a moment and think about it. If you couldn't get to the store for a month, would you have enough food and supplies to keep your animals healthy and happy? What about all the other essentials that comes along with pet ownership? I mean, one thing it used to drive me nuts seeing in the news is people were just abandoning their pets. I mean, the shelters were getting just completely slammed because people could not take care of their pets. They have a responsibility and they ditched it. So I want to hear your stories. What challenges do you face with your pets? Did you face with your pets? What would you face? How are you going to adapt? Share your experiences with me and let me know. Because this is something that we all got to deal with together, which is why I wanted to do this. I've wanted to do this podcast for a while, just because of all the work that we put into our lifestyle. This is one that hit us that we thought we were ready for, and we were not as ready as we thought about. So that wraps up today's episode. Remember, prepping isn't just about you, about your kids, your wife. It's about the whole family, including your four-legged or furry and feathered members. Thanks for tuning in and empowering self-reliance one step at a time.